Donald Trump's presidency marked a significant shift in U.S. foreign policy. His America First agenda prioritized U.S. interests above all else. This had major implications for South America, a region long accustomed to U.S. influence. Trump's approach was a departure from the more collaborative strategies of his predecessors. One of the most immediate impacts was the renegotiation of trade deals. Trump saw existing agreements as unfair to the U.S. and withdrew from the Trans-Pacific Partnership. He also threatened to tear up NAFTA, impacting Mexico's economy. These actions created anxiety and forced South American nations to reevaluate their economic ties with the U.S. This approach created an opening for other global players like China to increase their influence in the region. The long-term consequences of this shift continue to shape the relationship between the U.S. and South America. Trump's protectionist policies sent shockwaves through the global economy, and South America felt the tremors. His decision to impose tariffs on steel and aluminum imports from several countries, including Argentina and Brazil, sparked retaliation. This tit-for-tat trade war disrupted supply chains and increased costs for businesses. The uncertainty surrounding U.S. trade policy made it difficult for South American countries to plan for the future. Investment flows became more volatile as businesses hesitated to commit capital in such an unpredictable environment. This had a particularly strong impact on export-oriented economies like Chile and Peru. While some South American countries sought to capitalize on the trade tensions between the U.S. and China, the overall impact was negative. The economic consequences of Trump's policies underscored the interconnectedness of the global economy. The rise of Donald Trump in the U.S. coincided with a wave of populist leaders gaining power in South America. While the specific context differed in each country, there were striking similarities in their rhetoric and tactics. These leaders often campaigned on nationalist platforms, promising to restore their countries to a perceived past greatness. Trump's use of divisive language, his attacks on the media, and his disregard for traditional political norms resonated with some segments of South American society. This emboldened populist leaders who adopted similar strategies to consolidate their power. Jair Bolsonaro's rise to power in Brazil was a prime example of this trend. The rise of populism in both the US and South America had significant implications for democratic institutions and the rule of law. Immigration was a defining issue of Trump's presidency, and his policies had a profound impact on South America. His administration took a hardline stance, implementing measures to restrict both legal and illegal immigration. The construction of a wall along the US-Mexico border became a potent symbol of this approach. Trump's policies made it more difficult for South Americans to seek asylum or refuge in the US. The Migrant Protection Protocols, also known as the Remain in Mexico policy, forced asylum seekers to wait in dangerous conditions in Mexico while their cases were processed. The Trump administration also drastically reduced the number of refugees admitted to the US. This had a direct impact on South American countries like Venezuela and Nicaragua, where citizens were fleeing political persecution and economic hardship. The human cost of these policies was immense. Trump's decision to withdraw the US from the Paris Agreement on climate change drew widespread condemnation from the international community, including South America. The region is highly vulnerable to the impacts of climate change, including rising sea levels, extreme weather events, and deforestation. The Amazon rainforest, often referred to as the lungs of the planet, plays a crucial role in regulating the global climate. However, under the Bolsonaro government in Brazil, deforestation rates soared. Trump's dismissal of climate science and his administration's rollback of environmental regulations emboldened such actions. The US became a major exporter of oil and gas during his presidency, potentially undermining efforts to transition to cleaner energy sources. Trump's environmental policies had both immediate and long-term consequences for South America. Donald Trump's presidency left a mixed legacy in South America. His America First agenda led to a more transactional approach to foreign policy. This created both challenges and opportunities for the region. South American countries became more self-reliant and diversified their partnerships. They strengthened ties with China and the European Union. However, Trump's rhetoric strained relations and undermined U.S. soft power. The Biden administration aims to restore U.S. leadership and rebuild alliances.